Hold on, I got you. I want
Yeah.
to say it's like something 20. I don't even know. I'm just like putting a random number. I'm not keeping track, I swear.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we're starting this episode of Vandals. Do I know what number we're on? No. meL may have a better idea than me at this point, but welcome to another episode of Vandals. As you well know at this point, we have a very special guest on the show today. I've been really excited about this episode. I've been trying to work it out with meL for a little bit, so I'm really pumped. meL, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just got off practice. What about you? I heard you've had like a bit of a busy week. I don't know if you could leak too much.
No, I literally just got back from Atlanta 3-4 hours ago. I popped over to Atlanta to see some of the League of Legends talent because Worlds is in Atlanta, and it was, like my night was a movie. That line, it felt like that, low key. It felt like that. It was a very good time. Yeah, the night was a movie. Listen. Let's chat game changers. Let's chat Berlin. Let's get into some good stuff here. First and foremost, congratulations on qualifying for Berlin. Be honest with me. Was there ever a doubt?
I mean, like, if I'm being completely honest, like, cockiness aside, like, there wasn't any doubt on our side, and that's like zero arrogance, just like results based, also just normally based. We were gonna qualify since like the beginning of this year. We didn't feel like we were ever gonna like stop being as dominant as we were like the past like year and a half. So for us, it was like always in the bag. It's just a matter of like getting in the server and like doing it.
Well, and it's actually kind of insane. meL, you guys in this tournament, you didn't drop a single map. You ran all sorts of wacky comps. There were a couple of matches of yours that I watched prior to, and I went, they're running what? Like what is going on here? It feels like it was pretty safe to say that even with as dominant of a tournament run as you had, you kept some stuff hidden. You kept some stuff under the rug. Is that fair to say?
I would say it's pretty fair to say. I think we like kind of uncovered the surprise in like our finals interview, but we honestly, some of it was kind of troll. Like the XI game on Ascent, we were running Brimstone and Fade, which like, I mean, Fade's good on the map as well, but like the Brimstone probably got everyone had scratching their heads. Like, okay, what's that about? Like, it was not serious. Like, we knew we were gonna win that match, so it was like whatever. We're starting defense, like we could, and we're very like well prepared on Ascent, like one of our better maps. So we kind of knew going into it that we could kind of like troll, but we're very flexible as a team. It's not just like, oh, let's like run this troll comp. Like there's a point where we were playing like 6 scrims a day, and that was on top of like an hour beforehand of like server time and stuff like that.
That's outrageous.
So we were getting a lot of scrims in. We were trying a bunch of different comps, and like I'm confident to say that like we could go into a match with like hey, let's like have 3 people play different agents, but they played those agents before, but not in that that exact like format, like in that exact comp, right? And we would be fine, especially like on a map like Ascent. We're very comfortable like swapping things up on the fly, and like we all understand the win cons and stuff like that. Not to like nerd out too hard here, but we have a very flexible set of players that can flex to like very different things and are very confident in that.
Do you say, or would you say that is one of the I don't know, perhaps strengths to the team, knowing that you can do something like that, and you're not trolling necessarily, right? Like you're not just doing something ridiculous for the sake of doing something ridiculous. It is something that, given your team, given your players, it's viable, it's reasonable, and it can actually work.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, especially against like GC teams, like we know that like a lot of the teams don't even have like multiple comps that run on a map. Like it helps that for us, we have like multiple comps we can run on multiple maps, like just straight up, like that aren't trolled. Like we aren't like, oh, let's pick this and let's pick this and let's pick that. Like they are like serious like dual comps that we can run, and inside those dual comps there's like a tree of like other comps we can run inside of them. And so we're like, that makes us feel so confident, because it's like we do a lot of prep on these teams, which I feel like in game changers people, I don't know if I'm saying this, I can't say this like with entire confidence, because I'm not on the other teams, but it feels like teams aren't like prep for other teams that much in game changers, because it's really easy. These teams are really easy to read just from like an anti-shot perspective, like watching their vods. Like we don't lead into it that heavily ourselves, but there's like a lot of tells these teams have. And I feel like us having that versatility to like flex into like a random comp they haven't seen us play yet, and like any of like the 4 matches we've played, like if they do prep for us, they're kind of fucked, right?
Yeah, they essentially can't. Yeah. Would you say that some of that may be due to the fact that it's difficult to find game changers VODs? Like
It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't
It's funny,
get it. Yeah,
I
like
have no idea, dude. Like if I try to find it right now, if we had like a timer on the screen or I'm just trying to find it, it would take like 5 minutes. Like I'm not even joking.
it would
And I
take too
have it in my
long.
history.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But do you think
Especially like
that
the qualifier ones.
yeah, do you think that that contributes to it at all? The fact that, you know, maybe you don't feel like GC teams prep as hard, and obviously not all of them, right? Like, but
Yeah, I'm not trying to
generally
be too
speaking.
general.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you think that has something to do with it?
I mean, I think it has to. Like, even for us, it's a little difficult. Like, we have 3 coaches, so we'll end up fucking finding that VOD no matter what. We're finding y'all. Don't worry. But it kind of seems like it's like hit. There's not like a. I feel like there is a place for it, but it's like unlisted, and you have to like go to
Yeah.
like the Twitch VODs, and the Twitch VODs delete after 14 days anyway.
They're
So it's just
miserable.
like
Yeah.
it is kind of annoying. But I'm sure there are teams and game changers that do have like um proper prep, but at least not they don't go deep enough in game changers where I'm actually like seeing like the results of it, or at least like seeing it used against us. Should I rather say, like, I feel like we aren't ever like, I don't feel like, oh man, we got anti-stratted that round, or like, man, they know something, they know something before I even call it. Like I never feel that way ever in game changers, like once.
This dovetails nicely into a conversation I want to have with you, because you, I mean, Cloud9 White, to say that your team is dominant is really selling short what you guys have accomplished. It's truly ridiculous at this point, just how good, how consistent the team is. The margin of victory is outrageous. Again, you didn't drop a single map in the last tournament. That's historic in many ways. What would you say? Because on top of the dominance that Cloud9 White has in Game Changers, you also play non-GC matches, right? Like you'll play in non-GC tournaments. You kind of alluded to this, but I want to pull a little bit more out of there. What would you say is the biggest difference when it comes to calling in a GC match versus calling in a non-GC match?
That's a good question. I think, okay, like the first thing that comes to mind here, maybe I don't know if it's like the most properly thought out response I have, but one thing I noticed is that it seems like GC teams hesitate a lot when it comes to like when they have to brawl, or they have to duel people for information, or they have to duel in order to win a round. It seems like that's where like these teams kind of struggle. Like I can see like pretty interesting, like big idea macro understanding from some of these teams. Like, okay, like I see what they're trying to do here. Like I see what the call is. Like I see what they're trying to manipulate. Like I see the rotation they're trying to manipulate, what they're trying to pull.
Sure.
I see the game plan, right? But sometimes it's like, if it doesn't go exactly to plan, when they need to duel and take these like important like fights in the round, it seems like that's where like a lot of them kind of like falter, or even hesitation. And that's hesitation in those fights, but also hesitation from like a calling POV. Like I see teams constantly missing like important timings, or it just doesn't seem like they have very much like direction in the round. But like, not to say that I haven't seen cool rounds, but like I feel like I can say it from a point where it's not happening consistently enough for someone's like beat a team like us. Like I feel like mid rounding is like not like a GC team's best like strong suit. I feel like the mid rounding, like I don't really feel like outplayed very often in GC when it comes to mid rounding, but like other teams, like when I play like co-ed, like they have like insane like mid round call, like it'll put me on the back foot sometimes and stuff like that. So calling against like, I think the IGL and caliber is like a big difference, but I think that can be mostly ascertained to a lot of a lot of the co-ed teams have like a lot more like experience, like a lot more experienced players. People have been playing FPS for like a long time, right? Like back when we were just got signed at Cloud9, like in one of the OG VCT Open qualifiers, we played against Slimy Boogerman, which is like, we're a signed team. Like on paper, we're a signed team and they're a free agent team, right? But you dig a little deeper, like at the time, bro, me and my girls, bro, we were like a year of experience competing at all. And the people we were playing against, I fucking like love these guys, by the way, like Anderson and like people like Welshie and people like that. Like these people have been playing in MDL, semi-pro CSGO for like years at this point, right? For several years. So when you look at that, and I remember very vividly thinking at the time when I was, when we were competing, and this was our first time like really taking on these co-ed tournaments, I remember feeling like, oh man, my calling, I feel like I'm always like kind of like a step behind, or it's like, they just have a lot of experience, and this is something you just have to like grind out. It's like it's literally just a matter of experience. Like we are way better about it now. We are like pretty strong, like mid-round team, I would honestly say now at this point. That was like a weakness, and we really focused on that. But that's something I feel like I could speak to. It's like the mid-rounding, and like when I watch like comms videos, or even like like clips, like small clips. I mean, I'm not trying to generalize too much from like a small clip of like
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
hitting
yeah. Of
a
course,
clip, right?
of course.
But like the comms, I'm not like hearing like important comms sometimes, or like things that should be said aren't being said. Or when you watch a game, you know, when you can tell like, dude, it's this person not talking to their teammate because like
Yeah,
someone walks up into a gap or something
yeah.
in a setup. Like stuff like that is like what I feel like really separates GC and non-GC. But I feel like it really boils down to experience and like these teams just getting reps, honestly.
So if experience is the great difference maker between GC and non-GC teams, do you think, other than time, is there something else that can be happening that the community can be doing to help like accelerate it essentially, if experience is the biggest gap?
Yeah, and like I can speak from experience, like that's literally getting involved in these co-ed tournaments,
Yeah.
no matter how painful it might be at first.
Yeah.
Because I know there's like signed GC teams, I feel like haven't played more than like 2 co-ed matches total in their whole career, and they've been signed for XYZ amount of time, right? It's literally same process that we went through. Like we were playing these co-ed tournaments, we were getting smashed in the beginning. Like we had so much to learn, but it's like getting that, like getting outplayed or getting that raw experience, like actually playing in a match setting, not just scrims, but in a match where these people were actually trying to like win every single round like the best way they can against you. You learn so much, and like that's something my team has like gone through, is like learning through your losses for the past years has been like the biggest thing for us. And that's not even just for us, that's like for anyone trying to compete, right? Like you want to make mistakes. Like you know, when Loud won champs, right? I remember I was in Turkey at the time. I think I saw you.
Yep.
What's up, Doug? I remember I was like, we were in the seats, we were watching like Loud just won, and like the translators on stage, and they're talking and they're asking like, what is something advice you would give like people for this year or something along those lines, right? And they asked Aspas, and I think Aspas went something like, make a lot of mistakes, and like his team laughed, right? But it's just like funny, but it's very true. It's not like it's not like a joke. Like you make mistakes in scrims, like and in this case, I'm trying to make a mistake on purpose in a match, but like go in a match, like get your ass beat if it's like your first time, and like learn from it. That's the best thing you can do. And I've always preached like play in these non-GC tournaments, like these co-ed tournaments, like they happen so often. Like you have nothing to lose. Like people are already gonna prey on your downfall. Like I think probably the biggest thing that makes women like maybe not want to compete, or like GC players might not want to compete, is just because of like how much like hate and vitriol people are gonna get.
Yeah.
But it's like you're gonna get it anyway. Like easier said than done to deal with. But yeah, sorry for the rant, but that's like the long end of it.
Yeah. What? I feel like we can continue on that topic for a while too. Let me ask you this. What drives you individually, right? As someone who is, as sure, Valorant's been out 2 years. So maybe not the longest time, but for the time that it's been out, while Game Changers has been a thing, you have been a household name. What is it that drives you individually to stay at the top? Because I could see it, right? Like you're stomping teams all the time. Maybe you get complacent, maybe like, all right, you know, whatever. But you just seem hungry all the time. What drives you to stay at the top?
I think a part of it, or really most of it, has to do with like me, and like all of my teammates can say the same thing as I. Like we want to like be the first team to break this boundary that exists where it's like a woman hasn't like competed at like the #1 like highest tier 1 level, like undisputed by like anybody, like in esports. I feel like I don't mean just like making the bare minimum. I mean like playing in like partnered one day or stuff like that, right? Like getting up to the upper echelon, like making it to like international land, that would be insane. And we want to not only be a team that does that, we want to be the first. Like we want to be the people that do it. And at least that's my motivation. I want to be the first, because if you know like about like the 5-minute mile, like nobody was able to run a 5-minute mile since like the 1900s. It was like the 50s or 60s. I don't remember the exact decade. But once one person did it, the very next year, it was like 10 people did it. Next year, like dozens of people did it. Like it literally just took one person to do something that people thought was like impossible, right? And then more and more people started to do it. So in my head, like the logic stands where if I'm able to do it, there's going to be 3 teams next year that'll do it. Or there'll be another girl that will make it the same way. Or like not even just like making it together as like a group as a female team, like that would be fucking awesome. But like and my team can speak to this too, like even if we got like individual like co-ed opportunities, and if like we played in like franchising or stuff like that, or made it to, like individually to an international land, if one girl can do it, like oh my god, I can't even imagine, like it would change how we like understand like esports as we know it, like on if women can compete at the same level or not, if they can like actually compete at that level. One person does it, like who knows what could happen.
Yeah. I mean, it changes everything. It would change everything.
Not to like pun like game changers or anything.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Oh no.
I wasn't trying to do any of that, I swear.
Do you ever get bored of obliterating Game Changers teams?
Okay, let me think. I don't want to controversial. I don't bored is the word. I don't That's a you got me there. I don't want to say no either. I feel like it's been increasingly more interesting watching like other teams play each other. Like I'll say that much. Like playing these matches, playing in a match is always going to be like fun. Like
Sure.
you get to like compete for something and like hey like there's something on the line technically. I mean, to us, it's like we don't really like we don't think of that kind of stuff in the middle of the game. Like, oh man, we got to qualify to Berlin. Like, nah, like we're just here to like play the game, have fun, right?
Yeah.
And like win, beat the other team. But I will say, at least spectating the events, like watching the other teams, because we get done with the upper bracket like instantly, and like a team's still in their like map one of the day, and I'm like, holy shit, okay. I didn't realize we were that like I didn't realize we were going that quickly. But like watching the competition has been like super cool. Like we're seeing like new emerging teams and stars, like Misfits, Complexity. I mean, I don't want to leave out Shopify has always been like consistent. That's why I'm not bringing them up here.
Right.
But like
Yeah.
new teams that we haven't seen make like a top 4, top 6, top 8 even make it to GC main event to begin with. Like star players are coming out. And it's been really cool seeing like these like GC players like come out the woodworks and like see like the talent develop. It's been actually super fun to watch.
That was a very good way to avoid answering the question. That was
Okay.
very, very well done. Very well done.
The PR training from Cloud9 paid off. Let's go.
It worked. It worked. If you were to have to point at one thing, like just one specific thing, what is it that you would say that keeps Cloud9 White head and shoulders above the rest of North America?
I think it's definitely our practice and the fact that we play in like GC tournaments. Like I think that's like plain and simple. I don't even think there's any like magic sauce to it, other than the fact that like obviously we have the best 5 players in their role, like period.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
hard to like we're like a super team like in the GC scene at least.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like get past that. But the way we like approach practice and the fact that we've even playing these other matches, like the experience that we've gotten playing in like the co-ed scene has informed how we like approach things so much. Like I can't even like go into it, and I sound like a broken record, but I can't say it enough at how much it's helped us like improve as a team and improve individually as players. It's like it's night and day difference. It baffles me that there are teams out there that like signed GC teams that have not really played that many like co-ed tournaments, because it is like single-handed like the one like signifier that will take you to like the next level if you take it seriously.
Yeah. And it seems very nonsensical in a sense that's not happening more.
Yeah, I feel like my answer sounds a little boring, but like if to say something like, oh, it's because all 5 of us we all want to be the best. Like, okay, come on, like everyone wants to be the best. Like everyone wants it, but who actually has it? Who actually like puts in the work to like get it, right? So like I don't want to it sounds boring, but the reality is kind of boring. Like you just got to work for it. You have to like put in the hours, put in the practice, and play the matches. And like if you lose, and you kind of just take that wound, you take that injury, and you just kind of like work through it and like have these difficult combos with your team, have these difficult games with your team. And that's just like that's really just it.
I want to go back to the very impressive maneuvering of the question that I asked you earlier, because while it wasn't the answer I was looking for, you did touch on something that I want to get your opinion on. Would you say that North American Game Changers in particular over this last year, would you say that it's gotten better? Right, as we have new teams that you mentioned, the Complexities, the Misfits, new players like Fluorescent who just kind of took the tournament by storm. Do you feel like it is getting better? Do you feel like the level of talent is improving or has improved over the last year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the level of talent, like even just from the beginning of this year, like not even like when Game Changers started, which obviously it has since Game Changers started, but from the beginning of this year, like off the top of my head, I'm thinking like Katarina, like Surfrags, like Fluorescent, Keen C, like Power Pixel. There's like so many players like all the people in these teams, like I can't like count at this point. Like I can count like on over the 2 hands, when before it was like I could probably name a couple players that like were okay outside of our team, but now it's like cool. Like it's so awesome to see like the representation like outside of just like us and like Shopify, where I feel like that could actually like be contenders and like people that I recognize and I know that like not even just in game changes tournaments, but also just in ranks. I feel like there's a ton of girls that are Radiant now, or a ton of GC players too that are just Radiant, and that's like awesome to fucking see. Like I feel like what game can really say that? Like
Not many.
I can't really think of many esports, or I mean, at least coming from CS:GO and Fortnite. I'm kind of a bit of a Fortniter. Sorry, I had to break that news to anyone that doesn't know. I competed in Fortnite a little bit, but like especially Fortnite, definitely was like three. I could count them like one hand the total amount of women that like competed in that game. But it's like incredible to see. It's like super entertaining to like to see these players. Although I hope that like these teams kind of like have like more content, or at least some more like comms videos, because I would love to. I mean, other than like the competitive advantage knowing how their teams comm, but like hearing the players that don't get as much fanfare, like hearing them like speak up, because obviously it's really easy to point out players like that frag really hard, like fluorescent and stuff like that, but like I would love to like hear her teammates that are like supporting her, or like the IGL that's like making the calls, like, and kind of get some fanfare around them too, because they equally deserve it. Like they made it there together as a team, right? So it would be cool to like shine some light on those players, but I can't really speak too much on that without being in the team.
Sure.
So that's why I wish there was more content about them.
I do think that does feel like it's something that obviously you were there's been some really dope content that has come out, but and maybe it's just because of the era that we live in. I just feel like I just want more content. Like make more content.
Make more content.
Yes, just tell more stories, because I do think, like, jokes aside, there are really dope stories out there. And you're seeing this influx of new talent. You're seeing these influx of new teams, and there are a lot of fresh faces with a lot of aspirations to, you know, in some ways, meL, to kind of put you on the spot to be you one day, right?
Oh
like,
my gosh, yeah, you're putting me on the spot really hard.
1,000%. But
oh man,
do you ever feel that pressure? Does that ever like hit you to know that as Game Changers grows, and as you're starting to see the amount of teams that are signing up increase, and amount of women players that are Radiant now, like as we see all of this continue to grow and you see the space continue to blossom, do you ever feel pressure knowing that you are the role model? There are aspirations to be you one day from a lot of these new faces.
Okay, I don't know if it's gonna be weird to say, but I don't even like think about it. It feels very surreal.
Oh,
it feels so surreal. Like I don't even think about it that way. I don't even think of my I feel like I haven't like done anything like, okay, I haven't done anything. I'm not gonna leave it at that. I don't know if I've done anything to like really like deserve that kind of like I don't know, fanfare sometimes. Like I haven't done what I've like set out to like accomplish, which is like, you know, compete at like the tier 1 level. I feel like I've kind of like up until this point, I feel like I've done, you know, things that have been repeated in like other esports by like other women's teams. So I think it's really kind of you to say that, like, you know, people look to me as that person, when I feel like I haven't, you know, done very much to deserve that outside of like repeat things that I've seen like in other games at least. But that's really nice of you to say. I guess I don't feel it too much. Maybe it's very surreal to me because everything's online. Like I can look on my computer. It's like, everything. I don't see it. You know, even when you stream, it's like, you don't like person like see those people face to face, but maybe that'll change when I like show up to the LAN in Berlin. It's like, oh fuck, this is like real. Like you people, like y'all exist. Like you guys are all real. Oh, this is crazy.
It is super sobering. Super sobering.
Yeah, dude. That's how I felt when I was in Turkey, actually. I was like, whoa, this is like actually this is my like life's dream, to play on that stage, like over there. I want to be on the other side. Like this is actually crazy. Like I'm getting to see my dream like coalesce. Like it's fucking real. That's how I felt when I saw that and meeting you and like everybody. It's like, wow, you guys are all real people. You guys aren't just pixels on a monitor. What the fuck?
Speaking of lands, let's talk about Berlin. Again, first Game Changers LAN ever, has a crowd. It's an international event. I mean, like we're checking all the big boxes, right? I imagine you saying that you're excited is a massive understatement.
I can't even, it's something we've been looking forward to since the beginning of this year, honestly. Like I said, like what your question earlier is like, oh, did you really, like, was there any doubt? Like, no, there wasn't. Like since the beginning of this year, last year, actually, we were attending like all those LANs like in December and bootcamping in January to specifically prepare for this LAN. Like we were planning this like a year in advance. Like we wanted all the LAN experience we could get, essentially. And finally being able to play and like prove it in front of like the whole world, and like finally settle the debate of like who's the best GC team in the world, because people talk to it at no end, and I understand why, because there hasn't been a tournament. It's honestly like super privileged, and I'm just like super blessed to be in a position and like be the number one NA representative. Honestly, going to the tournament, it's just super fucking blessed, and I don't know, it's awesome. I can't wait to actually show up and be like, oh, what's up, everybody? Like, I'm playing on the stage now, like on the land. Like, let's fucking get it. I want to prove myself.
So you may have known some of this ahead of time, but I would love to get your thoughts on your reaction when you first found out that it's a LAN, it's a crowd, the venue, the location, the details. What was your reaction when all of the news hit?
I mean, I was like, okay, so far so good. Nothing's been canceled because of like any extenuating circumstances. Because I'm like low expectations for that, right? Like anything could happen. But I know that I mean, myself and a lot of people like took issue with like the crowd size. I didn't realize it was gonna be like in like essentially the dozens. That's the crowd. I mean, like I'm not gonna like pretend that GC has the same notoriety as like champs. I'm not gonna fucking pretend that it has like millions of viewers or anything. But like, come on, like what was the stick here? I feel like was it like 140 people or something?
Something
like
they
might have
initially.
extended it a little bit more, but. I don't know. I feel like I know like in my community there are a lot of people that were like really interested in going, and like with such, I mean, I think the tickets being sold out too is like an indication that there are people that are really interested in that do want to show up. So it'll be fun, I'm sure. Like at the end of the day we're competing, but like maybe for, I guess, next year it would be great if we could actually have a more of a crowd.
Yeah, well, and they sold out mad fast too, from what I understand. Yeah, they went out instantly. I don't know the exact details because I want to say this was pretty recent. Maybe this week that they extended, that they opened more tickets. Was that this week?
Was it this? It had to happen this week or like the end of last week.
Yeah, very recent.
I remember hearing that news as well.
Yeah. And you know, you even think about how many times Valorant has been in Berlin for Game Changers Land to be the first one to have a crowd, which is just really dope. All of that aside. All right, let's talk about the teams. We'll talk about the field. I'm assuming you have studied the opposition ad nauseum at this point. Having watched film of the G2s of the world, for example, be honest. How would you say they compare to the field of North American Game Changers, for example?
I feel like we are the most competitive region in Game Changers. Whether like how big that gap is, I feel like is arguable, but I feel like it's inarguable to think that we aren't the most competitive region. I think that gap, whether someone thinks the gap is very like little or whether they think it's like very big gap, that's up to people's interpretation. I think that's a point of debate. But just watching our matches versus other matches, I feel like even just like talking about the talent in North America, it's been like incredible to see. I don't know, like I'm watching how these games play out, and just from like an IGL perspective, I feel like our talent has like, I don't know. I feel like they're just on a different level, at least in my opinion. Even like our third or fourth team feels like, I feel like you could send them to Berlin and they would perform just fine, honestly. I'm just being completely honest. I do think that, and I know this was brought up at the beginning of the year when this was first announced, that the team size or like the like size of the event is kind of bad, no? For Game Changers, like only 8 teams.
8, yeah.
I feel like that really like, it really fucked over some regions like Brazil. Like I thought Brazil was like 100% deserving of like 2 slots, for example, or even like APAC. Like I feel like so like gutted that Alter Ego Celeste didn't make it through, and it was X10 Sapphire. Not to take anything away from X10 Sapphire. They are like,
oh, of course.
I watched like one of the maps, like amazing team. Like they rightfully they deserve it. They won the event, right? But you can't, you have to feel for like Alter Ego Celeste, which was the team that was dominating for 2 years, and like only to lose in such close fashion too,
and then be
and
snuffed.
Like for the one slot, like I honestly just wish it had been more, so we could see even more of like how competitive the G scene internationally really is. Honestly, that would have been super dope to watch. But yeah, watching the games, I feel like we have NA has a really good read on the meta, and I think that our talent pool is very deep as well. No hate to the other regions. Again, you could argue the gap being like whiskers away from each other, or of it being very big. But I feel like it's not controversial to say that we're the best region. I think if you look at the matches played in co-ed by GC, if you were to make a stat of like rounds played in co-ed scene by GC teams and did it by region, I think NA has more by far.
Well, yeah,
and
but
I think
it's
that alone,
primarily you guys though.
Fair enough. All right, well, my bad. Oh man.
would you be surprised if in Berlin it was a Cloud9 Shopify Rebellion Grand Final?
Oh man, you are putting me on the spot with these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised, and like it would just be so on brand for
It really
us to
would.
play Shopify
It
every
really would.
fucking time,
Yep.
bro. Every time just to
Yep.
play them again in the international. It would be so on brand. But honestly, what would be on brand is if like I have no idea how the tournament's seeded, by the way, or like any of the bracket or whatever. I mean,
It's
maybe
not
the
out
information's
yet.
out there. I have no idea.
Nah.
But at least far as I know, like it would be very on brand for us to just play each other first round on some random seeding BS or something.
Yeah, end up on the same
And then
side of the
see each other
bracket
again in
yeah.
finals.
Yeah.
It would be. I could see that. I could see it.
Do you think with that in mind, given the fact that now that I mean, this is what you've been working towards for the last year, so there's no reason to really hold anything back at this point, right? Like this is it. This is where you, if you're gonna stomp and speed run a tournament at full strength, this is where you would do it. Do you think anyone in the field, given what you've seen and given what you know about you, your team, do you think there's anyone in the field that can stand up to a fully strengthened, like no holes barred Cloud9 white?
From what I've seen so far, and not to get ahead of myself,
Sure.
I feel like it would be, unless something crazy has happened in like the 3 weeks leading up to from Game Changer Series 3 to like Berlin, I feel like we are in amazing form right now, and I find it very difficult to, if I had to clone myself and play against my own team, I would find that a difficult task for any team. I feel like if we are holding no punches back, playing our real comps and going like completely hard in the dirt, and because I will say that we trolled a couple rounds, like we were laughing, like we were trying to make the games fun in DC Series 3, let's be real. It would I'm just saying, if it got to the point, like I would have a very enjoyable game. It would be very enjoyable game changers for both us and the crowd if that were to be the case. I'll say that. Like if we were able to have like a super sick best of threes all the way through, I'll say that as a competitor. I know this maybe sounds weird as a player, like you want to stomp everybody, like, but just for the future of the GC scene, like I would be down for all the matches to be absolute fucking bangers, because that'd be sick. That means that many teams are like at our level, like that would be insane to think about.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good for viewership, it's good for storytelling. I mean, it's everything, right? Like that's ideal. That's what you want. Are you guys planning on doing boot camping or anything like that prior to the event?
Yes, actually, we have a couple days boot camping before we officially go to like the area where like the venue is and stuff like that. So it's gonna be really interesting. I'm really excited to play like European teams, like European like tier 2 teams, and see what the scrims are actually like the difference between that and NA, because I hear so much about it. Like listening to your podcast, especially, I was watching the podcast with with Pujan and Stellar and BCJ. No, I had it on. I was doing the dishes. I was cooking up dinner. I was like, this is a nice podcast.
Let's go.
No, I love your episodes. They're sick. I was listening to that, and I was like listening to the part where they're talking about like the difference in regions, and I'm like, damn, bro, I would love to experience that for myself. Like, just obviously with the GC teams in the international tournament, but also just like those couple days we have a boot camping, I want to scrim as many EU teams as possible. Like I want to get so much XP, because like what a privilege it is. And I think that's awesome that we are afforded that opportunity because of like Game Changer Internationals being there, right? Like because Game Changers is international, we have the opportunity to travel to Berlin and have those couple days of boot camp. A lot of NA teams don't really get to have.
No, and I mean, honestly, even like the minor things is being adjusted to time zone differences, right? Like 100%. That's so key, that it's just those little things that people don't think about, right? Unless you've been there, unless you've done it.
When I was in Turkey, I remember I was so jet lagged, and the day that I was done having jet lag, I was flying back home.
You were leaving.
So yeah, I was like, damn, bro, it sucks.
It takes me a week. No joke. It takes me a week on average to adjust. It's rough. So yes, it's obviously an excellent opportunity. And I'm super pumped to hear that you guys are taking advantage of that, because I think it's only going to pay off in dividends for sure. meL, parting question or parting words for fans, for Roy, for anyone else before you go.
Okay, that's a good question. Let me think. Obviously, shout out to the fans, all of my friends and family, my team's friends and family. But shout out to my team especially. I want to say like they've been super awesome to like play with and work with, and like there's no one else I'd rather play like international with. Like this is fucking dope. And I would say as well, from like the fan POV, like as I was talking about earlier with like the fanfare. I know like me and Bob get like a lot of fanfare, but honestly, that's like just like petty, like stupid statistical shit. Like everyone on my team, like Lexi, you know, Jazzy Cat, like everyone on the team is like best in their role by far. So fucking shout out to my teammates. Cause let me say, when I see these dumb ass motherfucking super teams, and if you make a GC super team and it's not just my teammates and me, bro, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? Like, you a clown. I'm reading this shit. It's like clownery. It's a joke. Like, put some fucking respect on my name, Bob's name, Kat's name, Jazzy's name, and Lexi's name. All 5 best in role, period. Like, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant. It just gets me a little heated. Like, I just want my teammates to get the fucking credit and representation, like the credit and respect they fucking deserve, because they've earned it. Like, their comms, like everything, things you can see in game, by the way. Like, you can easily look at the VOD and see how good they are, but also things you can't see. Like, they bring so much to the table. Like, there's a reason why we're the team that's winning everything.
Yeah. It's so easy. I think that's so easy to do from a spectator's perspective too, because that's all we really see, right? Like, that's all people at home see. They see the KD at the end, and the kill feed, right? Like, you miss so many aspects to the game that often just go underappreciated. So I can totally see that. Yeah. Anything for the fans?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for supporting us. We're gonna make you guys proud. We're gonna make NA proud, I'm sure, in Berlin. I'm super excited to like represent NA internationally. Like, that's something I never thought I'd be able to say. Like 3 years ago, when I was observing like CS:GO, I never thought I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna be representing North America on like international stage in some way, shape, or form. So that's super dope. We're gonna make you guys proud. And if you're a fan of GC and want to see us fall, hope we don't make you guys proud, but appreciate you tuning in anyway.
meL, you're a gem. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on the show. Best of luck. Have safe travels. And we'll see you very, very soon. For those of you who were hanging out watching another show, thank you so much for your support. As always, do the engaging with the stuff, and it'll be great, and everyone's happy, and algorithms and whatnot.
Like, comment, subscribe, and what is Twitter? Follow him too.
Thank you. I need that. I'm hurting. We'll see you guys next time.